Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. You can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic author to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Chapter 2. Gavroche on the March. The brandishing of a triggerless pistol, grasped in one's hand in the open street, is so much of a public function that Gavroche felt his fervor increasing with every moment. Amid the scraps of the Marseillaise, which he was singing, he shouted, "All goes well. I suffer a great deal in my left paw. I'm all broken up with rheumatism, but I'm satisfied, citizens. All that the bourgeois have to do is to bear themselves well. I'll sneeze them out subversive couplets. What are the police spies? Dogs. And I'd just like to have one of them at the end of my pistol. I'm just from the boulevard, my friends. It's getting hot there. It's getting into a little boil. It's simmering. It's time to skim the pot. Forward march, men. Let an impure blood inundate the furrows. I give my days to my country. I shall never see my concubine more. Nini, finished, yes, Nini. But never mind, long live joy. Let's fight Crebleu. I've had enough of despotism." At that moment, the horse of a lancer of the National Guard having fallen, Gavroche laid his pistol on the pavement and picked up the man. Then he assisted in raising the horse, after which he picked up his pistol and resumed his way. In the Rue des Thorigny, all was peace and silence. This apathy, peculiar to the Marais, presented a contrast with the vast surrounding uproar. 4 gossips were chatting in a doorway. Scotland has trios of witches. Paris has quartets of old gossiping hags, and the "Thou shalt be king" could be quite as mournfully hurled at Bonaparte in the Carrefour Bedieu as at Macbeth on the hearth of Amiens. The croak would be almost identical. The gossips of the Rue des Thorigny busied themselves only with their own concerns. 3 of them were portresses, and the 4th was a rag picker with her basket on her back. All 4 of them seemed to be standing at the 4 corners of old age, which are decrepitude, decay, ruin, and sadness. The rag picker was humble. In this open-air society, it is the rag picker who salutes and the portress who patronizes. This is caused by the corner for refuse, which is fat or lean, according to the will of the portresses, and after the fancy of the one who makes the heap. There may be kindness in the broom. This rag-picker was a grateful creature, and she smiled with what a smile on the 3 portresses. Things of this nature were said. "Ah, by the way, is your cat still cross? Good gracious, cats are naturally the enemies of dogs, you know. It's the dogs who complain. And people also. But the fleas from a cat don't go after people. That's not the trouble. Dogs are dangerous. I remember one year when there were so many dogs that it was necessary to put it in the newspapers. That was at the time when there were at the Tuileries great sheep that drew the little carriage of the King of Rome. Do you remember the King of Rome? I like the Duc de Bordeaux better. I knew Louis XVIII. I prefer Louis XVIII. Meat is awfully dear, isn't it, Mother Patagon? Don't mention it. The butcher shop is a horror. A horrible horror. One can't afford anything but the poor cuts nowadays." Here, the rag picker interposed. "Ladies, business is dull. The refuse heaps are miserable. No one throws anything away anymore. They eat everything. There are poor people than you, La Bourglamine." That's true," replied the rag picker with deference. "I have a profession." A pause succeeded, and the rag picker, yielding to that necessity for boasting which lies at the bottom of man, added, "In the morning, on my return home, I pick over my basket, I sort my things. This makes heaps in my room. I put the rags in a basket, the cores and stalks in a bucket, the linen in my cupboard, the woolen stuff in my commode, the old papers in the corner of the window, the things that are good to eat in my bowl, the bits of glass in my fireplace, the old shoes behind my door, and the bones under my bed. Gavroche had stopped behind her and was listening. "Old ladies," said he, "what do you mean by talking politics?" He was assailed by a broadside composed of a quadruple howl. "Here's another rascal. What's that he's got in his paddle? A pistol? Well, I'd like to know what sort of a beggar's brat this is. That sort of animal is never easy unless he's overturning the authorities." Gavroche disdainfully contented himself, by way of reprisal, with elevating the tip of his nose with his thumb and opening his hand wide. The rag-picker cried, "You malicious, bare-pawed little wretch!" The one who answered to the name of Patagon clapped her hands together in horror. "There's going to be evil doings, that's certain. The errand boy next door has a little pointed beard. I've seen him pass every day with a young person in a pink bonnet on his arm. Today I saw him pass, and he had a gun on his arm. Ma'am Bouchot says that last week there was a revolution at where's the calf? At Pontois. And then, there you see him, that horrid scamp with his pistol. It seems that the Celestines are full of pistols. What do you suppose the government can do with good-for-nothings who don't know how to do anything but contrive ways of upsetting the world, when we had just begun to get a little quiet after all the misfortunes that have happened? Good Lord, to that poor queen whom I saw pass in the Tumbril. And all this is going to make tobacco dearer. It's infamous. And I shall certainly go to see him beheaded on the guillotine, the wretch." "You've got the sniffles, old lady," said Gavroche. "Blow your promontory." And he passed on. When he was in the Rue Pavée, the rag-picker occurred to his mind, and he indulged in this soliloquy. "You're in the wrong to insult the revolutionists, Mother Dust-Heap Corner. This pistol is in your interests. It's so that you may have more good things to eat in your basket." All at once, he heard a shout behind him. It was the portress Patagon who had followed him, and who was shaking her fist at him in the distance and crying, "You're nothing but a bastard." "Oh, come now," said Gavroche. "I don't care a brass farthing for that." Shortly afterwards, he passed the Hotel Le Mignon. Then he uttered this appeal, "Forward march to the battle!" And he was seized with a fit of melancholy. He gazed at his pistol with an air of reproach which seemed an attempt to appease it. "I'm going off," said he, "but you won't go off." One dog may distract the attention from another dog. A very gaunt poodle came along at the moment. Gavroche felt compassion for him. "My poor doggie," said he. "You must have gone and swallowed a cask, for all the hoops are visible." Then he directed his course towards L'Orme Saint-Gervais. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables. Don't forget you can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com, and while you're there, check out our t-shirt shop. You can look in the show notes or on our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media. You can find us everywhere at Bite at a Time Books.